Hi guys, welcome back to the Non-Immigrant Student Podcast. If you're new here, my name is Tolulope Ulukomi and I'm a grad student at Cornell University. If this is your first time here, I have 12 to 13 episodes from my previous season where I introduced myself to you. But in this new season, season 2, I am encouraged to use it to highlight the stories of other non-immigrant students who are also here with me in the United States of America or in diaspora generally. And with me today, I have Nnamdi Iwuji, who came from Nigeria in 2019 to do his MBA at Cornell University. And in a minute, he'll be introducing himself and telling us his story of how he secured the bag. Even though he doesn't believe he has secured the bag yet, but I believe he has secured, or he's in the process of securing the bag. And yeah, so I'll let him get right to it. So, Nnamdi, you're about to graduate in 2 days. Woo! How do you feel about that?
Yeah, thank you very much, Tolu. Yeah. I'm going to be graduating in 2 days. I feel very excited about it. It's been a long 2 years. Mm-hmm. It's been an incredible experience. Mm-hmm. So very excited for, to know that it's going to come to an end pretty soon. And then looking forward to the next phase of life.
Yeah. So just before I let you introduce yourself fully, in the last episode where I introduced my friend Pearl, I asked her to describe how we met, for everyone to know how we met, what has led you to be here today. By the way, we're recording live from my apartment in Ithaca, New York, in the United States of America. So yes, do you remember how we met? I remember the story, but I'll let you say your version.
Oh, okay. I think we met in a breakout room in one of the classes that we were both doing.
Yeah.
I think it was a business school class. I honestly can't remember the actual class.
It was Power and Politics.
Power and Politics. Yeah, I remember Power and Politics. That's true. So I think we met in the breakout room. You were not on video, so I saw your name, and it was like Tolu, like. This is definitely a Nigerian. So, so then I reached out to...
No, I think I know who reached out.
Oh, okay. Somebody reached out somewhere at some point. But yeah, I think that was how we met. And ever since then, we've been friends. It's been a good relationship. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. Excited to be part of, your podcast and to share my story too.
Thank you. I would say my version because I remember it clearly. So that Power and Politics class was my first class at Cornell. It was September 2nd, 2020. I'll never forget because that was the first class I was supposed to take on Monday morning or so. But it was 2 p.m. in Nigeria. And so when we joined the class, I didn't have the readings. I thought you remember this part because I know you judged me. When you saw that I hadn't read it. So we were supposed to read a case of some woman working at Apple, and I didn't know how to get it. We used Canvas at Cornell, and I had no clue how to get that document. And so when we were put in breakout rooms to discuss, I eventually turned on my video, and I was just there. And then Nnamdi was asking us questions. So what do you think? What do you think? And then I owned up and said, I'm sorry, I haven't read it. I even said it happily because I couldn't care less. I was in my first class. I couldn't let anybody make me feel bad. And I saw the way Nnamdi just kept quiet and said, okay. Then you now spoke to the next person. I still remember. But I was like, I'm not going to let anybody give me some Nigerian bad energy here today, please. I'm studying and I'm happy. And then eventually I sent him an email. I asked you for your email through the chat, and then I reached out to you and I asked you for the document, and then that's how it became. Remember, we even watched the debate between Trump and someone and Biden.
Yeah,
we watched
together.
The debate together.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then Nnamdi used to help me. I was taking a class, Economics and Finance for engineering managers, and Nnamdi would help me with my assignments, with all those very funny financial terms that I don't know, COGS, current assets. I would always send him a message, and he was always there. So we go way back. And yes, you were the first person who bought me food when I came to this country too. So
wow. Okay.
I remember all these things. I remember, so it's like you've made such an impression on me since I got here that I can't forget. So yes, and he's also a host to many parties. I've been privileged to attend at least 2 of them. So yes, and he's very popular in his MBA program. But now I'll let him introduce himself. So tell us, where are you coming from? What was life for you before 2019?
Wow, I wish you let me introduce myself professionally first before telling them about parties and everything.
Okay.
But no problem. We can talk about it.
Yeah.
So first of all, I am an international student here at Cornell. Originally from Nigeria, born and raised in Lagos. I went to FUTO, which is the Federal University of Technology, for my undergrad. After FUTO, I joined PwC Lagos office to work as a financial statement auditor for about 5 years. Then I left PwC in 2018 to join a smaller company called Babban Gona, which at the time was one of the fastest growing agri startups in Lagos. And I worked there as the head of financial planning and analysis for 1 year before coming to business school.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, a bit of my professional experience so far. So while I was at PwC, I worked in the financial services unit, and basically went involved in auditing banks, pension funds, insurance companies, in Lagos, Abuja. Basically, most of the PwC clients that were in the financial services space. So I did that for about 5 years. I also became a certified accountant with the ACCA group while I was at PwC. And it's interesting because I went to FUTO. I never read accounting or anything. I actually read chemistry in my undergrad. So people always...
I didn't know that. What?
Yeah, people always like, how do you switch from chemistry to accounting? And, the simple answer is... It really doesn't matter what you read in your undergrad. Just make sure you come out with good results. Make sure you have this very strong ability to learn, and you probably get a job that would, allow you to explore other options and then decide what career path you want to choose for yourself. So that's basically my experience. 5 years PwC.
Did you write the ACCA right after you left FUTO? Or how did you even get a job at PwC with a chemistry degree?
So I got a job at PwC just like every other graduate. Fresh graduate back then in Lagos, you write aptitude test and everything. PwC wasn't looking for accountants; they were looking for young graduate trainees who they thought were smart. So and who they can train. So basically, that was what they were looking for. So it really doesn't matter whether you're an accountant or not, because a lot of accountants would write the exam and still fail. It wasn't like an accounting exam; it was more of a like a general knowledge type exam. So yeah, so that's how I got into PwC, and then I wrote the ACCA exam while I was at PwC, and they make you go through the process, anyways.
Okay. Wow, I didn't know that. That's very interesting. So why did you decide to get an MBA while you're working at Babban Gona? Because I think you had mentioned before that they pay really well. It's one of these silent companies in Nigeria that have money. And you were working as head of financial planning. That's what you said.
Financial planning and analysis.
Why did you decide to get an MBA?
So first of all, Babban Gona is run by one of the men that I admire a lot in Nigeria, a Harvard MBA trained a professional by name Kola, a very great guy. The 1 year I spent with Kola, I learned so much from him. So Kola is like one of my biggest inspiration for the MBA.
Shout out to you, Kola.
Yeah. But aside from Kola, while I was at PwC, one thing you learn from working in a place like PwC is the need to always look for the next big thing. On how to, shape your career, on how to, become a better self and everything. PwC would encourage that. They took us through so many trainings. You were not allowed to relax on your laurels. You're not allowed to relax on your particular level. PwC had a culture where if you did very well, you get promoted every 6 months or 1 year. And so that meant that people would always be on their feet to put in the best. And so that kind of weaved into our personal lives. So we were always on the lookout for the best, how do we improve ourselves? How do we, do better things? And so many of us at the time would talk about getting an MBA, not just because we wanted to, not just because we wanted to get an international experience, but also because we wanted to grow in our career, in our individual careers. We wanted a situation where it would be easy for us to become CFOs, CEOs tomorrow, and having all the required skills to be able to achieve that. And so we talked a lot about the MBA. And I guess as people say, you eventually become what you talk about most times. So I had a lot of friends who were also thinking alike in terms of MBA. It was a normal conversation within my group of friends. And eventually when I went to Babban Gona, same thing. By the time I left Babban Gona, I think there were about 3 of us who went for MBA from Babban Gona. Babban Gona is a small company, with not a lot of people, but then we also had very smart people from like PwC, from Bain and Company, from KPMG, who also left those companies to come work with Babban Gona. So yeah, that's how I ended up coming to the US to do my MBA.
So before I let the final cut out of the bag about why I think you have secured the bag, which is the title of our episode today. So are you saying the end goal for you is to become CFO of a company? Or like, what's the end goal? Like, what are you going to keep talking about? Like you said, what you become, what you talk about, you become. So like at the end of it all, where do you see yourself now in 10 years? Like, is being a CFO of a company the end goal for you?
No. So being the CFO of a company is not the end goal for me, or being the CEO. Like in the end, you just want to be the better version of yourself every time. But if we take a 10-year view, then yes, I hope to be a CFO of a company in the next 10 years, or maybe even before then, depending on, whatever space that I end up in. But yeah, I mean, I would imagine like if for a smaller company, I'll probably be the CFO, in the next few years. But if it's a bigger organization, then maybe 10 years is more realistic.
Okay. So, now instead of jumping the gun, let's go back. So, what was the application process like for you to come to Cornell? And like, how many schools did you apply to? Why did you decide to come to Cornell?
So Cornell made a very good impression.
Everyone says that.
Yeah, and that was kind of why I applied to Cornell. So Cornell first of all, Cornell has a big name in Lagos, so everybody talks about Cornell, an Ivy League school, as well as other schools too, who are also in the Ivy League class. Then I was fortunate enough to go for one of Cornell's events in Lagos, and then met a lady called Nnamdi.
What event was that? Where can people find to go for it?
Yeah, so we do this every year actually in Lagos, which is very interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
How come people don't know about it? That's interesting.
Well, so again, you have to be in the right circles, right? These things are usually published on LinkedIn, social media. USA? No, it's not Education USA. It's so it's organized by the Johnson Africa Business Society.
Jobs?
Yeah.
Same jobs we're in.
Yeah, the same jobs. So normally every year, Jobs will host like an informational session for prospective students coming from Africa. So that year, Nnamdi held one in Lagos and one in Ghana. So I went for the Lagos event. The next year, I actually hosted the same event. Next year, Nnamdi was in person, and then I was here in the US, and then in the US, sorry, and we hosted the same event. We hosted in Kenya, South Africa, and Lagos. Who
were your affiliates? Like, who were you talking to in Lagos to plan the event? Or what do you mean by you hosted it?
I mean, I had friends. I still have friends in Lagos. So you always have people who last year was virtually, so it was easy because everyone was online. But like the year before, we had people who would help us organize venue. It was actually hosted twice in Lagos. One was at 4 Points. There were not a lot of turnouts, that particular one. And then the next one was, I think, 335. There's usually a lounge that's opposite the Echo Hotel. I can't remember the exact place now. Yeah, because you only took care of the venue and everything. Wow. So it's just like a casual hangout. A couple of business schools in the US do that. Yeah. I went for the one that was organized by Duke back in 2018. I went for the one organized by Darden at Radisson Blu back in 2018. Darden University is in the US here.
What state?
Darden Business School. Okay. So Darden is University of Virginia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Duke University,
North Carolina.
North Carolina had theirs too. The ones people typically go for is the ones that are organized by the big names. So like Harvard usually Stanford, Harvard, Stanford, Wharton, like this, they do this every year too.
Lagos.
Same Lagos. Yeah, in same Lagos.
That's very interesting. So don't worry, guys. Nnamdi, you have to share the link to everyone that's listening.
So what I would say is, because again, first of all, these things will be published in the company in the school's website. So if you go to any of the school's websites and drop your email address to be able to receive information, they would ask you a couple of questions, including where are you located in the world, what do you need to, what are you looking to apply to, say, a 2-year MBA program or a 1-year MBA program if the school offers that. They'll ask you some of all these informations, right? And the moment they have your information, then they'll start sending you newsletters or updates. And so when events like this come up, they'll definitely, notify you, and then you know where to apply, like you know where to register for it rather, and then get access to the locations. And it's free. It's not as if you have to pay anything to go. In fact, you go, they'll give you food and make sure they'll take care of you.
And party pack. So yeah, even when I went for one education USA, I just kept saying, why is all this free? Yeah. So yeah, Team USA. And you were telling me, so you met here one day when you went for the one for Cornell.
Yeah, so I met you one day when I went for the one for Cornell. One day was very welcoming. We had, a good conversation and everything. And then I was like, I really liked the way she, portrayed herself. I like the way she talked about the school. I've gone to some of these events and I've seen people talk about other schools too. But I think what she said about Cornell was, kind of resonated with me a lot. Then a couple of things that I did on my own. I did some research. I also had another friend who had gone to Cornell for her undergrad. And so I spoke to her too. Then I did some research, like understanding what Cornell was really strong in. For me, I wanted to do something in finance, and Cornell is actually very strong in finance. So I knew this was one of the places to be. It's a smaller class size compared to some of the big names.
Really?
Yeah.
But you guys are like 200?
Well, my class was 286, but then compare that to a Harvard that has 900 MBA students, per year. So it's a smaller class. Okay. So I wanted that. I wasn't looking for like a very small program. You have programs that have just 50 MBA students or maybe 100.
Executive MBAs are like normal?
No, normal MBAs actually. But those are like very small class size. But I wanted something not too small, but then, not too big. Which kind of leads me to answer your other question. So the other schools that I applied to was Kellogg and Darden. So
where's Kellogg?
Kellogg is Northwestern University.
Okay.
And then Darden is the University of Virginia that I talked about. And so they also have like moderate class sizes. Kellogg actually has about 400 students. I think that's about the same thing for that, and I'm not quite sure. But yeah, so I was kind of looking for programs that had that number of students in the class.
Which ones gave you offers? What were the offers like?
I would rather not talk about it, but yeah. So just so that I'd rather not talk about it. But yeah, I got my offer from Cornell. It was a very exciting offer. And then so again, just to give you guys an idea of how some of these things work. So it's not just about the school that gives you the offer. It's also about the school that you really want to go to and the school that gives you scholarship. Especially as an immigrant student coming from Nigeria, you want to be in a place where you don't have to spend the most money. So I really wanted to be at Cornell. Cornell gave me like the best offer, which includes all of the package, like both the scholarship, like everything that I wanted. So for me, Cornell stood out, and I was like, yeah, I am definitely going to this place. And it's an Ivy League, which is
exactly
which is great and different from the other ones.
Okay, so next question, like what were the application requirements to come to Cornell? So
they're pretty standard application requirements. So one, you have your test scores, whether you're doing the GMAT or the GRE. Two, you would have to write a couple of essays. I think Cornell had 4 essays, two key ones, and then like 2 smaller ones.
What do you mean essays? Like statements of purpose or what?
No, like actual essays. So you have to write essays of like 450 words or 500 words. I honestly can't remember the exact ones I wrote in my time. But one essay that Cornell had that was, kind of different from the other schools that I applied to that I think was really interesting was the back of the resume essay. So
what's that?
Yeah, so Cornell was basically asking, we've seen everything in your resume, we've seen how wonderful you've done in your career path and all of that. Now tell us something we don't know about you from just looking at your resume.
What? How do you write something? How do you write something like that?
That's the whole idea. You would have to so you have to do some soul searching. You have to think about yourself aside from your professional career and everything, and think of something to write. I think for me, I wrote about my passion for agriculture. I wrote about how that passion had led me to even start a company before business school, and some of the things that I've done back in Lagos. Is the company
still alive, like in business today?
I mean, legally, yes, but like not in business anymore. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Even when I applied to Stanford, they asked me 8 improbable facts about yourself, like things we want to know, and it took me over 1 month to find 8 fun facts about myself. But yeah, there's a way those questions can be.
that's very true.
Yeah. So since you came to the US, what has been your favorite thing about America and your least favorite thing about being in the US?
That's a very interesting question. I think my favorite thing about America is just the and this is probably relative to where I'm coming from, but the level of organization on certain things, and things are pretty very organized in the US, and the opportunities that the US presents for you. So I come from a place where the organization level is not so great. I mean, everyone who knows Lagos knows how crazy Lagos can be on a lot of things. So compared to the US, like, US is like thousands of miles ahead of Lagos when it comes to that. And then when it comes to opportunities too, you always hear people say the US is the land of opportunity, and I think that's very true. It could get tricky sometimes. It could, if you don't know what you're doing, or if you relax a bit, it could literally chew you and spit you out. But if you're ready to put in the work, if you're ready to do all the right things, follow through the right path, you would have a lot of opportunities here. And I think that's something I really admire about this environment.
What's the least thing you admire?
The least thing, it's. First of all, I think there was a huge cultural shock for me. But I mean, I wouldn't say that's like, something I really admire about. Yeah, I expected it, but then again, it happened. And when you're going through it, you're like, wow, this is so different.
Tell us one thing that shocked you, like out of the park, like one thing.
So first of all, I mean, you hear about being black, being white, and all of these things, but you never really know how black you are until you leave.
Really?
You leave Lagos or whatever you are, and then spend time and live abroad.
I know.
Then it becomes pretty clear to you that
they actually think you're black. I used to say, and this is something Chimamanda used to say, that I'm Nigerian and I'm not black, but apparently it's a cultural thing.
Yeah, it is, and it kind of reads into so many things. Some people, try to be a bit careful when they talk to you, or wouldn't tell you some stuff that they ordinarily tell other people just because they're not sure how you react, right? And sometimes they think you don't notice these things, but you do. And
very subliminal.
Yeah, very exactly. and so those are some of the things that you have to get used to over time. But yeah.
Would you say you have experienced racism, like outrightly?
I would say I have, but outrightly no. But then I've also been at Cornell and Ithaca, I've been in a relatively safe space. How that transcends into like the normal US environment is a totally different ball game. But just being in a school environment, being in a small town, you don't see a lot of those things around here.
I agree.
Yeah.
And just to take you back, before we started the interview, you told me why you think people should write GRE and not GMAT. Like, do you want to expatiate on it for people who might be applying to business schools in the US and looking to put together their application? Like, what is one advice you would give them on preparing to apply for an MBA?
Okay. Now this is my personal opinion. But I think it could. I think it will be very helpful to someone out there. For folks who schooled in Nigeria, or those who schooled in, those schooled in Nigeria, basically, I think you're better off writing the GRE than the GMAT. I did the GMAT. I applied to the GMAT and everything, but looking back, nah.
Give us a range. See, the whole point of the podcast is if we can do it, they can do it too. Give us a range.
I mean, if you get a range between, if you get anything from like 650 to 700, you should be good.
That was well played, Nnamdi.
Yeah, you should be really good. So, when I mean good, like, should be okay to get admission.
Yeah.
some schools will take you if you come down to like maybe 6:30. If you have 600, you really have to have a very strong application.
And this is for GMAT.
Yeah, this is for GMAT. Yeah, on for other areas.
For friends who got in with Jerry, do you know any range of what they got?
Of course. Not really, but I think for GRE, if you have like with GRE, schools are a little bit more lenient.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you have from like 315 or maybe 310 or something and above, you stand a chance.
For an MBA.
Yeah, for an MBA. But keep in mind that it gets really competitive, like over time. And then if you have any of those lower end scores, you want to make sure you have a stronger portion of like your other parts of application should be strong. Maybe your resume, maybe your essays, like other things you have to talk about.
I have to focus on that.
Yeah, it has to be really strong.
Was not competitive.
Yeah. So, but for me, I wrote the GMAT, and looking back, I probably would have spent more time doing the GRE than like all the time I spent practicing for the GMAT and writing the GMAT and everything. I think I would have probably used that time to do the GRE. Yeah. And some of my friends who wrote the GRE just, some of them wrote it once and they were good. Some like twice. But then again, you're more likely to see someone who writes the GRE and gets a better score from Lagos than someone who wrote the GMAT. Yeah.
From India. No shades to them, but like they're the ones who always teach us on YouTube.
The Indians have very good GMAT scores. Yeah, very very fantastic GMAT scores.
GRE scores too. Yeah.
I think one thing that I need to call out here is the reason why I'm recommending the GRE is for folks who schooled in Nigeria is just because of the way we learn. Or because of the way we've been taught. It's very different from the way people learn in the US and very different way people learn in some other parts of the world. So the GRE is more aligned to our ways of learning compared to the GMAT. And so just something you guys want to think about.
Did you prepare for your exam by yourself, or you had a tutor, or?
I started out preparing by myself. Then while working, at some point it was kind of because for me I was very good at maths, but I was struggling with the verbal. So I got someone to kind of like help me, walk through the verbal and everything.
Okay. Do you have a company in Lagos? Do you remember who they are? Like, do you want to
No. It was a private individuals. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So you mentioned your least favorite thing about not being sure about the racism and being black and white, but another reason why I also admire you, Nnamdi, is I came here and then I heard you were president of JABS, Johnson African Business Society. You said organized like these events back in Lagos, and those were one of the first things I saw, and I'm like, if Nnamdi can come here and be such an influence, a positive influence. So there's a class I took, and every time I met a second year MBA, I'll be farming and I'll be like, and for those who might not be Nigerian, to farms means to familiarize yourself, like to act like you know someone because they are probably a celebrity. I would be asking people, oh, do you know Nnamdi? And they're like, yes, he's the popular second year MBA, and blah blah blah. So how did you get to be a president, to be president for a prominent club in the College of Business? Like, how did that come about? Why did you want to run for it? How did you get selected?
So first of all, I think one of the key things they teach you in business school is to lead and then give you opportunities to practice your leadership skills. And so club activities at the business school at Cornell are basically places for you to actually practice your business skills on so many fronts. And so for me, I'm an African. I came from Africa. I thought it would be nice to actually lead the African group, and the African group at Cornell Johnson is not just specifically for those in Africa. Just to give you that context, it's actually open to everyone who is interested in Africa or people who have visited Africa who kind of want to be members of the club. It's also the #1 graduate student club at Cornell. So this is like talking about the general university. So which is why you have people from other programs join the club. So for me, it was just a great opportunity to again, apply some of my leadership skills.
Did you run, or you were elected or selected, or how does it work?
Well, we ran, but at the time, I think I was basically selected. Like, one, there were not a lot of people who wanted to contest for that particular position. And then two, I had a great relationship with the previous president and was very active with the club. Okay. So it was kind of like, okay, Nnamdi would be the next president, and we'll just,
and that's one thing.
To make it happen.
And that's one thing Kudlan was telling me about Nigerians, that we know how to organize ourselves, pass the baton to the next person and all that. And that's how also, because I believe it's because of my relationship with you, I also became one of the vice presidents in Jobs. Even though was at a party, the first party I attended in Cornell was a Jobs party, and then Ivy reached out to me. I was like, "Do you mind coming on the team? I need you to be one of our social programming people since you're very lively, blah blah blah." And that's how now I have it on my LinkedIn too. And somebody will interview me someday because I was at Jobs. But oh well. So yeah. So let's move right into why I think you have secured the bag. So, you recently got a job at Microsoft. Yay! Smile now! I don't like wearing every publicity. You always act like you're not sure. Please. Nnamdi is now one of the next employees to give Bill Gates a run for his money. And to that, we're very proud of you. All of us in Nigeria, we're very proud of you. So, how was that journey like for you? I know you also got a job at Amazon and you were trying to decide. And when we were talking about it, like last year, you explained to me how they do the stocks, the vetting, how you eventually chose Microsoft over Amazon. Can you just share that whole lovely experience with everyone? People who have job offers, how did they select that? What was the process like for you applying to these jobs?
Okay, let me let me start from the very beginning. So the way it works in the business schools in the US, especially for international students, is you have to start early. Like, I came in 2019. I knew one of my top priorities was to get a very good company for my internship. And the way it works is, if you do very well in your internship, then you get a return offer for a full-time role with a particular company. And so I came with that mindset of, from day one, I'm going to start looking for opportunities. I'm going to start looking for ways to recruit. And that was how it happened. For me, I started looking for opportunities at the very beginning. I would go for conferences. I would go for, company events. Right? Yeah, this was pre-COVID. This was 2019. I'll, spend money and go to some of these events. Whenever companies came to school, I would attend and everything. And that was how I was able to get my internship in the first place. I actually got my Microsoft internship through one of the conferences that I attended.
Wait, was this internship virtual? You arrived in the US July 2019.
Yes, COVID was in 2020. So the internship was virtual, but okay. I got the offer in 2019, way before COVID. Okay. Yeah. I spoke to someone who, Microsoft was at the conference. They were, looking for people to talk to, reviewing people's resumes and everything. That year, Microsoft did not come to Cornell. But that was also because before companies started coming to Cornell, Microsoft had recruited 5 people from Cornell already. Okay. Right. So, again, that's the thing about Microsoft. They also try to go in early and get the people that they want pretty early in the game before you start, getting involved with some other companies and everything. So yeah, I was able to speak to them. They looked at my resume. They gave me an opportunity to interview, and I did. And then they were happy about the conversation we had. Then I was invited to come to their office for an actual super day interview. And
really?
Yeah.
In Seattle?
Yeah, in Seattle.
And they sponsored it?
Yeah, they'll sponsor your trip and everything.
I love that.
So I went there. Had a full day of interview. Spoke to 4 different by the way, I recruited for finance, so I spoke to 4 different finance managers and directors at the time, and then eventually got the offer for an internship.
So you're saying you spoke to people, you didn't just submit applications? Did you?
Oh no, when I mean spoke to, actually I interviewed with 4 different finance, I think 2 finance managers and 2 finance directors.
Okay. I see. And then what other companies did you apply to apart from Microsoft?
So
before
the internship, I got Microsoft pretty early in the game, and that was it.
So how did you get the Amazon job offer?
So the Amazon job offer was after my internship. So after my internship at Microsoft, I got the offer for a full-time role. But I also wanted to see what was out there, and then
true Nigerian you are.
No, and then compare and contrast, right? Plus, I these are some of the things you need to understand when it comes to the US. People apply for jobs based on the cities that they're interested in spending time or living. So for me at the time, I'd kind of been on my mind. I want to be in Seattle, right? And the two major companies that are in Seattle are Amazon and Microsoft.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Google is in San Francisco. Some of these other companies are in California. So for me, I always been in Seattle. One, because I had a couple of friends who used to be with me in PwC back then, who are also working in either Microsoft or Amazon right now. So I kind of wanted to be close to my friends. Two, I visited there, for barely 3 days, but I like the city.
It rains a lot in Seattle.
It does, but it does. But I've heard a lot of good things about the town. So I was like, okay.
How's tax?
It's also tax free, state tax free.
What?
Yeah. So again, one of the reasons why.
Oh, because I hear Washington too is expensive. Washington, New York, California, and now Austin is becoming expensive.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Washington is relatively expensive because of a couple of things, and you have all these tech companies you have Amazon, Microsoft. So most of these companies attract great talents, and they're paying them a lot, and people are spending more, and so that would actually drive the economics of the states, and prices will go up because you have more people willing to spend more dollars for it compared to the average guy, right? And then there's something called sales tax, which is a little bit on the high side in some of the states that actually don't have the state's income tax. So state's income tax is a little bit different from your sales tax, which is what we call VAT in Nigeria.
Okay, finance manager.
So,
yes. Okay.
So for me, I kind of built in my mind. So it was just normal it was normal for me to recruit for Amazon if I'm looking to stay in Seattle, right? And eventually I did. I got the offer. It was also a finance role. And I had to compare and contrast. Amazon is a great place, great company. But at the time I was making a comparison, for me, Microsoft had a better deal. That's one. Two, I'd also done my internship there, so I kind of knew the team I was going into, had good relationship with them.
What team are you going into at Microsoft?
So I'm going to be working with the central finance team, specifically the commercial revenue analytics team.
What do they do for Microsoft?
So what they do for Microsoft is basically review trends in Microsoft commercial revenue and try to understand those trends, make strategic decisions based on those trends, help Microsoft understand where it needs to play, say in the next couple of months based on previous trends, and then review things like budget for all commercial revenue lines, and then run analytics to help the CFO make better business decisions. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's pretty much finance/strategy, but it's a very, very, very interesting part of the finance team. So
So back to the contrast and compare that you did. You shared that with me before, and I know it almost busted my brain. So how I know you talked about how they offer you sign up bonuses. So let's just use both of them as a case study. What were the things you considered in choosing your final?
Oh, okay. So I'm not going to get into the actual numbers, just for sake of privacy and everything.
Whatever.
But yeah, this some of these companies will typically offer you, they'll offer you a base salary, they'll offer you stocks that will probably vest over a period of time. They'll offer you a sign-on bonus, and they'll offer you a relocation bonus. And then they'll have all these other extra things that they will have to offer you too. Some of them will offer you things like, so there's going to be a performance bonus depending on how you do well.
Is there a percentage of anything?
It is a percentage of your base salary.
Like what
percent?
Yeah.
Somewhere between 20-30, depending on the company. So they offer you a certain percentage of your base salary. So if you do well, you get that full percentage. If you don't do well, maybe you get zero. If you kind of like half and half, you're somewhere in the middle.
But you still have your job.
Yeah, but you still have your job.
But is promotion do they also PwC do they promote every 6 months or not?
I honestly don't know. I'll probably I'll find out when I get there. But I think I at least for Microsoft where I did my internship, I think there's an opportunity to be promoted every year if you do well. So yeah, kind of similar to what you have in PwC. And again, like you said, if you don't do well, you don't get a bonus. But it doesn't necessarily mean you keep your job. Remember, these companies too are like very fast paced. So if you're lagging behind, they'll cut you off. Pretty straightforward. But if you do well, which I would imagine most Nigerians will, because we have this fighting spirit. Yeah. Then you get all the good benefits and everything.
So what did Amazon offer you that Microsoft didn't? I'm really pushing your hand, but tell us, share with us.
Honestly, there's nothing Microsoft offered that Amazon did not. It was actually more in the numbers itself, right? And how I thought about it.
So it's not work culture for you, because there's word in the street is that some certain business company doesn't exactly have like a good work culture, like office-based culture.
So my opinion on that is usually it really depends on the team. So you might get into Microsoft that's known to have a very great work. Which, by the way, Microsoft has a wonderful work culture. Mm-hmm. Like, let's not make mistakes about that. But you might get into a Microsoft that has a great work culture, and then get into a team that doesn't have a good work culture, and then that becomes an issue for you. So while the whole organization is good, your team may not exactly be the best place for you. Same thing, you might end up in a company that doesn't have a great work culture, but you have a team that has a wonderful work culture. So it really depends on the team.
So it's not good to listen to hearsay, basically.
I would say listen, but take it with a pinch of salt. Okay. Try to get as much details as you can, especially if you're very much aware of where you would end up. Like if you know the team you're going to end up in, then I think it becomes a lot easier for you to make that decision. Yeah.
I see. Do you want to give us a range of... So sorry, I'm laughing, guys, because I already told Nnamdi that we're not editing this episode. It's like first take is the most authentic take. So I'm really stepping on eggshells here trying to ask that question. But like, can you give us a range? No, you have to give us, because like I know automatically MBAs earn more. Like, or maybe I should say this, so it's not as if it came from you, so it's fine. But I know that like maybe for me that graduates, like entry salary here might be annual salary might be like 80 to 120k. So, what's the range for an MBA who just gets a job at any of these multinationals? Like,
that's okay.
Base salary, just base salary, not like base salary.
So I'm going to put it back to you.
Wow.
I'm gonna like I'll give you one chance, right?
Don't do that.
No, I will. I'll ask you to name a number, and I'll tell you whether it's above or below.
Below. Okay, that's right. Fine. That's fine.
Yeah, and we'll talk about above or below total package.
Total package?
Yeah.
No, I can do base salary. I have an estimate for a base salary.
Okay. The reason why I talked about total package is base salaries are usually quite deceptive, in the sense that, for example, if a company is offering you stocks, they may not offer you a very high base because they're giving you a lot of that money in stocks. Because they want to keep you.
Well, do you actually cash the stocks? Because I don't understand that vesting and all that.
Yeah. So the way the stock works is, let's say you get a company that gives you $100,000 worth of stock that will vest over a period of 4 years. It basically means they've given you 25k stock per year. Okay. You understand? So after 1 year you get 25k worth of stock. After the next year you get 25k worth of stock. So something like that. So that's basically how it works.
So I should guess a total package, annual salary for an MBA graduate. Let me 210k.
That's a good guess. That's a very that's a very good guess. That's kind of about it. Yeah.
Because I was thinking this would be 160k.
It's a range. You can get higher than that. You can get a little bit lower than that. But like it's kind of within the ballpark for your total package. Yeah.
Either way, we're very happy for you. I am very happy for you. Either way, to be starting a new life. So, as we wrap up the interview, we're getting to the end now. What's one more thing, if you had more time in Cornell, like what's one thing you haven't done yet, like, or you still wish you would want to do that you haven't done, even after spending 2 years here? Although I was watching the Follies with some of you guys, and there was a funny part about how they talked about how everyone is happy you guys have a Cornell MBA degree, even though most of it was online. Like, what's wrong between this and an online MBA? But do you have any regrets? Like, what's one thing you still wish you did? What are your parting words for Cornell University?
Okay, you've asked a bunch of questions. Let me try and break it down a little bit. I really don't have much regrets, but that's also a reflection of who I am as a person. Like, I don't dwell on regrets. So, actually, I always try to, figure out the positives in anything that I'm doing. So, I don't think I have like regrets. I think one thing that the pandemic took away from us was the ability to build very strong network within fellow, within the cohorts, like, within my classmates and everything. Because we spent a good portion of our MBA online. And so many of us were within Ithaca, like within the environment, but we're basically, in our houses because of the pandemic and everything. But that said, students always find ways to make things happen. Yeah. So we still found ways to like meet, connect. But the difference compared to what would happen in a typical MBA year is that you had more people, like you had smaller groups of people connecting and maintaining that same circle. So for those smaller circles, they became really close friends, but then kind of like disconnected from the larger pool. You understand? Because again, you're not meeting everybody. Over the past 1 month, we've been very intentional of how we hang out and meet everyone and everything, because now everyone has gotten vaccinated. We can go out, we can meet people and everything. But yeah, for the most part of the program, we maintained our circle.
So
I had like,
you still have your small circle?
Yeah, I do. In fact, I hung out with them yesterday. Like that's the thing. Like you become so close. They literally you do things together. So yeah, I had a group of like 9 students that were always hanging out.
Do I know any of them?
Yeah, clearly my roommate.
Okay. Yeah, I like the nice guy.
Okay, my roommate is there. There's Meryl. There's there are a bunch of like, again, just that same group, right? And we always hang out. We spend a lot of time together during that period. I think this same applies to a lot of other people. So that's one thing that I think would have been different. What other thing do I regret? Honestly, I don't know if because again, like I said, I tend to see the good in most of the things that I do.
And then what's one thing you still wish to do? Like some people told me they wish they traveled more. Some people tell me, they wish they saw more of Ithaca, even though I don't.
Yeah, I kind of wish I traveled more, but I also spent time traveling even before the pandemic hit. Like as at the last count, I visited about 16 states in the US.
What?
So
really?
Yeah. So I was quite intentional about going around.
What states and do you think it's easy to travel around in the US?
It is very easy to travel around in the US.
Like, no, MBA pocket is deeper than ours. So can you expatiate? What do you mean by easy? Like, were you traveling by road or like were you paying for flights?
Some of the trips were by road. Some of the trips were flights. Okay. In some cases you get good deals, especially when the pandemic was kind of easing off a little bit. There were very fantastic deals. You can go to Texas for like $100.
So you took a
to and fro. Yeah. Wow. So I did that. And then there are times when it's also expensive and you have to travel if you have like very clear reasons why. But yeah, I don't think it's hard. Like it really depends on what you want. Yeah, it really depends on what you want to. So
okay, so what advice would you give anyone from Nigeria coming here, like to the US or coming to Cornell? Like, what would be something you tell them now that you're graduating?
I think the very first advice I'll give to people back home who are looking to apply to some other schools, and this is just about Cornell, is one, you can actually do it. Yes. I think a lot of us, it's easy for a lot of us to fall into the space of like, oh no, I can't get into the schools. I don't have what it takes, this, that, without actually trying. So my first advice would be try. The worst you can get is a no. And then you've tried, right? And you can always learn from the experience and try again next year if that's really what you want to do. So first advice is try. 2, if you try and then you get in, congratulations, that'll be very good. Have a plan. Like, again, a lot of these plans will change depending on how you see things, but it's always good to come in with a certain plan, right? It's a lot easier for you to know what you don't want and then keep it aside and focus on some of the things that you want, or narrow down things that you want, and coming in knowing that, like coming in without the plan, and then you get hit by so many things from different directions, and before you take time to decide, time just passes by really fast. Especially as an international student who'll be looking to recruit here in the US and everything, you want to start early. Like you really want to start early. Now, different folks, like different programs will have different ways of approaching this, but I think specifically for the MBA program, you want to start early. And most MBAs are actually designed for you to start recruiting early. So take advantage of that moment you come in. Why I say come in with a plan, keep an open mind. So keeping an open mind doesn't conflict with you coming with a plan. Coming with a plan is, you come with a plan on what you want to do, your career and everything, but keep an open mind to like ideas, keep an open mind to like meet new people, keep an open mind to talk to learn new cultures, understand how people behave, eat new food. Like there's so much more you would actually
What's your
learn.
favorite new food that you've tried in America? I think for me it's tacos. Like when I first ate it, I was like, not bad. Yeah. I've not had mac and cheese yet. So.
Oh, that's great. I think, I probably have a lot of favorite food, but one I would recommend to people would be salmon and roasted Brussels sprouts.
What?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Nice.
So yeah, salmon and roasted Brussels sprouts is a good one for me. Yeah, especially when the roasting comes like very nice spice and everything. Yeah.
I should have asked this, but like when I know you attended certain events in Lagos, but applying to MBA schools in Europe or like other parts of the world, was that an option for you, or it was always US? Like why did you come to the US?
No, for me it was just the US. Like I have friends who thought about going to like INSEAD and a couple of other schools in Europe. I think those are great schools too. Some of them have like 1-year programs, which seems pretty attractive. But I knew I wanted to go to the US school, so I was.
And when you
clear.
would tell people about it, like how do you shut out people's voices of like even me, everyone wanted me to come to Canada. I'm like, no, I want the US. So how were you able to stay that path and decide for yourself that?
Again, it's just you having a plan for yourself. No one is going to make some of these plans for you. People can advise you, but ultimately it will be your decision. And it's a lot easier when it's a decision that you made by yourself. So you if there's anything bad that comes out of it, God forbid, you face the consequence knowing that this is a decision you're making by yourself. And if something good comes from it, you beat your chest and be like, you've tried. So yeah.
Do you have anything to say about the H1B1 visa pooling? How does it work? And I hear it's a lottery. So how come you're so confident about it? Like what do you foresee would happen?
Well, I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm confident. It's still a lottery. You never can tell what will happen tomorrow, right? But again,
you trust the journey.
You trust the process. You take it one day at a time. I think why a lot of people may not exactly agree. I think the US immigration process is a bit clear. Yes, in the end, H1B is a lottery. You have to get a company that will file for you and everything. But then the reality is, you could also get through. So I'd rather stay positive and hope that everything works out for me than think about the negative and not even try at all. Yeah. I think you face more risk when you don't even try. This is something you want to do than you face more risk not trying than actually trying and then going through the process. You understand? So
I agree.
That's the way I think about it. By the way, for those who would be coming to those who are looking to come to do an MBA program, some companies, especially tech companies, big tech companies, would not just apply for the H1B for you. They will also help you process green card. So again, these are options that you can explore. But again, like I said,
so not at the tech companies, Facebook, Amazon.
Yeah, most of the big Google. Tech companies, will do that for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. Nnamdi, thank you so much for coming to the show. We have come to just about the end, but I have one personal question. Do not fret.
Okay.
So I know you turned 32 in March, like recently, and you came here. I told you in the letter I sent you, I told you that you came here in your 30s, What's that one thing? To us on Twitter, are you on Twitter, by the way?
I am, but I'm not active.
You see, that's why we call you 30. On Twitter, we call you us millennials or like Gen Z. Although I'm 25, so I'm not sure where I stand. But we say that men like you are 30 plus men, and they keep yabbing you guys because you guys are almost acting like baby boomer generation. So, like, what's that one thing you'd have told your 25-year-old self? No, this is for me. This is for me, and maybe any other listener that's 25. What would you have told yourself at 25? Where you looking back, looking forward to where you're going, where you are now, and where you were before? Yeah, like what would you have told yourself?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. I think one thing I would tell myself is don't be afraid to dream big and pursue your dreams.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'll let me just try to elaborate in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So I used to journal when I was younger and write things, some of my experience, and even write about things. I always had a part of my journal where I'll write where I want to be in the next 5 years. Do you understand? And I'm not sure I achieved everything, but for a good portion of, I think I achieved most of what I really wanted to do, that I wrote down. I remember one time in 2012 or so, that I wrote down on my journal that in 5 years' time, I would want to get an MBA in the US. I was very specific. And I didn't come to the US 5 years after that. I came to the US in 2019, so which is pretty much like 7 years after that. And so, looking back, maybe I should have done this a bit earlier. So part of me at some point was a little bit, skeptical, not quite sure. The whole lot. There's so much more. There's so many things you think about that would scare you. Going through the process. But then, looking back, what I'll tell my younger self is dream big and don't be scared of your dreams. Just pursue it.
Oh, that's very valid advice, because I'm also in that place where you're like, am I even allowed to dream this big? Is this American dream really for me?
It is for you. It is for you. You can, and it's also available for so many other people too.
Because in 2018, all I could see was I need to get my master's. And when I finally got it, now it's like one next. I have 6 months, like one next, and then just. But yeah, I'm encouraged. So thank you so much. Any plans for marriage? Have you been doing internet dating? Like a lot of people.
Are we still recording?
We're still recording. Yes, we are. I'm asking you. I'm doing your mother a favor, and I'm asking you, like, what are your plans?
Wow, my mom is gonna be very excited. They asked.
So, like, for you, what has it been like here, like dating world and all that? I know a lot of people here are really into Hinge and Bumble and all that, and Tinder. Okay, maybe not Tinder, but yeah. The way you're smiling.
I honestly, I don't know if I'm the right person to ask those questions, but I mean, for me, especially, we'll see what happens over the next few months or maybe a few years.
How many years? I want my Igbo sisters to be able to plug, to be able to reach out to you. These days on Twitter, people will send their resume. People I saw when a girl put up a Google form for guys to fill it out, and she will vet them, send their resume.
Wow.
So yeah, it's wild out on these streets. Just in case, but that's fine. Yes, I believe in waiting it out. So tell us something that's not on your LinkedIn, because a lot of people are probably going to check your LinkedIn for who is this guy? So tell us something that's not there.
Well, that's actually cool. The fact that I ran a small agricultural business for 2 years while I was working at PwC is not exactly on my LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, that's true. Because I told you I didn't know. That's cool. Yeah. What? By the way, what were you farming? Was it livestock or?
Yeah, it was livestock. It was a poultry farm. But we did basically.
Or Lagos?
No, in Ogun State, but we had our front end business in Lagos. Okay. So what we did was basically we produce birds and then process them and also sell them as meat. So we had store locations in Lagos where we would sell our stuff. And then at some point we also raising birds for eggs and also sell them in those store locations and everything. So
where's all that money, Nnamdi? So you have seen money in this life, but it's okay. Please don't forget us when you go to Seattle, please. But it's all good. Yeah, so we'll just do some quick this or that questions to wrap this up.
Okay.
Whiskey or Davido? I know you're a music person, so you're not talk about
Whiskey.
Really?
Whiskey. I love Davido, don't get me wrong, bro.
Okay, so Burna Boy or Davido?
Davido.
Okay, Burna Boy or Whiskey?
A lot of people hate me for that.
I hate you because I'm Team Davido. Wait, Burna Boy or Whiskey?
Whiskey.
Wow, that's serious.
Whiskey, yeah, so
really?
It's Whiskey, Davido, Burna Boy for me.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's Davido, Burna Boy, Whiskey. Yeah. Black or white girl? Okay, in Nigeria we call white as everybody that is not black. They can be Asian, they can be anyone.
I'm not exactly sure who listens to this podcast.
Okay, that's true. That's fair enough. Let's not bring other people into it. Let's just keep it within Nigeria. Okay, Yoruba or Igbo, or you don't want that one too. I know you want an Igbo. Oh. Don't lie. able sisters to be able to, like,
Wow, so you're really pushing.
Yeah, because I want to come for wedding.
You're really pushing.
Okay, it's fine. If you don't want it, it's fine. Let's go. Mainland or island?
Mainland. No, like, sorry, I take that back. Like, I was born and brought up in the mainland, but then since 2013, when I started working, I started living on the island. So I've gotten so used to the island life, and again, I think for the sake of security, I'll stay on the island.
It's fine. Last one. Netflix or Amazon Prime?
That's a very interesting question, because I have both of them. I used to think I am a Netflix person, but I'm beginning to see some very interesting stuff
Me too.
on Amazon Prime.
I'm telling you, and I was telling my friend yesterday, I don't think the picture quality is clear on Amazon Prime. Like, it's so real.
So it's a tough choice. And Amazon just bought MGN Studios, so it's about to even get better.
What's MGN?
So MGN Studios is a very big studios in the US where they produce movies. They're the ones who own the James Bond franchise and a couple of other great movies. So Amazon just closed the deal on them yesterday.
These tech companies are really backing. Like, and that's nothing about this place. Like, the monopoly is some of the classes I took in business. So, like, the monopoly is just, I'm like, how much more money do they want to make? Like, why? Why they keep pushing for more?
Well,
like, I guess it's part of the American dream. Yes, capitalism here is serious. So we have come to the actual end of this episode. Yes, we made it 1 hour, just a little bit right on the clock. But thank you so much, Nnamdi. Thank you for everything. And that's why I have a little card here just to say thank you and to wish you happy graduation.
Thank you so much.
That's just my little
this is cool.
I beg, it's just a casual wow. Which one is wow?
I wasn't expecting it, but yeah.
Yeah, but thank you. Yeah, thank you, Mark. But yeah, so thank you so much for everything. And where can my listeners find you, my audience, like in case, like for people who are here, where would you want them to reach out to you if they have any more questions? Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. So just look for my name on Instagram. Yes! That's funny. Sorry, I met some people your age who are not on Instagram, and I find it funny. Oh, okay, no. That's the one place you can find me. What's your handle there? It's Nnamdi _Iwuji. So just my name and my surname. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, guys, we have come to the end of this podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening. I hope you learned more than one thing. If you did, you know where to find me. If you need to send me an email, I can always forward it to Nnamdi. My email is non-immigrantstudent@gmail.com. On Instagram, I'm also the non-immigrant student. On Twitter, I am at Tolu Olukomi. Thank you so much for stopping by today. And like I always say, if we can do it, you can do it too. Bye-bye.